Hello, people. How are you doing today? It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I'm currently live on my IG page. I will then save this and repost it to my YouTube, so be sure you follow me in both places. A lot of you know who I am, but for those of you who do not, I am an exercise physiologist, sports strength and conditioning coach, sports nutritionist, dancer, trainer, holistic health, take your body to its highest level person, okay? But, in the realm of fitness, a lot of people know just regular personal trainers, but I'm a strength and conditioning specialist, and I have videos where I speak about that. But just to briefly let you know about my background and what we're going to get into. I'm a strength and conditioning coach certified by the National Strength and Conditioning Association, the NSCA. Okay, so strength and conditioning coaches, what we do is we take athletes over a competitive season and we design workouts in the gym, in the weight room, to help increase performance and decrease injury. Okay, so we look at that sport, we look at that position, we look at what are the physiological demands of that sport or position, right? So that means are you using an anaerobic system, are you using your fast twitch muscles? Is this a strength power sport, or is this an endurance sport where you're using slow twitch muscles and aerobic metabolism? We look at the biomechanics and the demands of that sport or position. So for example, you could have a baseball pitcher. They put a lot of stress on their shoulders and that elbow, that pitching arm, right? So a strength and conditioning coach will design exercises in the weight room to help prevent the injury, okay, help to take some of the stress off of that stressed area, and also help to increase performance, so help them to be able to throw harder and stronger, right? And they're kind of interlinked because you can't perform at your highest level if you're injured, right? Or you might take a sprinter, and hamstring tears are common for sprinters, and so really putting a lot of focus on those hamstrings so you can prevent hamstring injuries, right? But also exercising so that you can be more explosive, okay, as well. And the workouts are peaked during different times of the season. The workouts that you do during the off season is different than the preseason, is different than the championships. Nobody's in peak condition every day, okay? Nobody, if you try to be in peak condition every day, you will overtrain yourself. So there has to be a proper balance of rest and recovery with strenuous activity. And when I say the proper balance, that differs whether we're working on strength and power or whether we're working on endurance. It differs whether we're talking about the off season or preseason or whether we're talking about playoffs and championships, right? And so there's a science to peaking performance at certain days. It's like if you have, as an athlete, or even as a dancer performer, if you have certain days where you have to be good, like you have to be good when you have this game tomorrow. You have to be good when you get on stage tomorrow, which is what's so amazing about people like Beyonce, who went on tour doing such high level performances. I don't care what anybody says, she is world class, number one when it comes to performances, okay? And their endurance. People have no idea how difficult that is. So everybody has off days, okay? But when you're a performer, people definitely don't want to see an off day. Like if you're a singer and your voice is messed up today, people just think, oh, they're mad at you, So you have to be able to do it when you need to do it. And so we're talking about how people aren't in peak condition at all times. It's like, even me, I'm not an elite athlete, but as a performer, whether it's like, I might have a performance coming up, or I'm just like, maybe I'm just recording a video in my living room. I can't always do the same things all the time. Like there are some days I can do certain moves, and then there's another day I try to do that shit and I just can't do it today, And I might have to, maybe I was off the pole for too long and I gotta slowly build my strength back, or maybe I've been doing too much. My muscles are fatigued and they need to rest, right? And the rest, but if the rest is too long, then you can fall off. It's like, if you don't have enough rest, you can overtrain yourself, okay? And when people are overtrained, They usually get symptoms of like they lose motivation, they're sore for a lot longer than they should be, they're abnormally tired, so part of that recovery, if you're doing strenuous activity, part of that recovery is what you're eating. Okay, I told you I'm a sports nutritionist. That's what sports nutrition is about. Same thing. What you're eating so you have optimal performance. So you can go hard day after day after day. What you eat has everything to do with that because it's giving the fuel to your muscles, right? So like, the timing of your meals, and also if you're a performer or high level athlete, you don't want to have a competition and now you have bubble guts right before you were about to compete, or you got a headache because you're dehydrated, or what I'm saying. So the macronutrients, micronutrients, what you're eating, the timing of what you're eating has everything to do with your performance and your recovery. If your blood sugar levels are too low, which is dehydration. Dehydration is not just about water, which a lot of people think. Dehydration is about carbohydrates and electrolytes. So your blood sugar levels being too low is also a symptom of dehydration, and your muscles can't go, your brain, So knowing when to rest, right? That's what this video is about. Knowing when to rest and when to go hard. Because sometimes people don't feel good and they might push themselves, right? So I know for me, like I have to be very tuned into my body. When you don't have a coach or trainer training you, like sometimes you as a person can be lazier than you should be. You may not push yourself as much as a coach or a trainer will. But at the same time, there are coaches and trainers who push people too far. And a good coach or a good trainer, or, they know how to evaluate that. Like I know with me, when I train people, I push my clients, but I have never injured anybody. Nobody has ever gotten injured from working with me. I've also never been wrong about what I think somebody can do. There's, and I don't make assessments or judgments about what somebody can do until I've evaluated them. Once I've evaluated a person and I've worked with you a couple sessions, and I know what, because I'm observing you when I'm training you. So at that point, I know what you can do, and I've never been wrong. I've had people look at me like, clients that thought I was crazy because I'm telling them to do something, and I've never been wrong. They have always been able to do it. And, part of that is also talking that person through their self-talk, getting them to focus on breathing. But then on the flip side, you have coaches and trainers, teachers, whatever, who push people too far. And that person obviously cannot do that, and then they injure them. And that's when you see... somebody's asking me about hypertension. Okay, I'm answering that in one question. See, I lost my train of thought. Darn it. See, when I read the questions, it makes me forget what I was saying. What was I saying? I'm talking about rest. I don't know. I forgot what I was saying. So anyhow, I'm talking about know when to rest. So I'm going to say that, I remember what I was saying. So, yeah, there are teachers and coaches who push people too far. It's okay. The person gets hurt, right? Like with ballet, for example. I did classical ballet as a kid. I'm very anti-ballet now. But a lot of ballet teachers injure kids because everybody's not super flexible. Like I'm a dancer. I study many different kinds of dance. I've never been super flexible. Never been that person. But you know what? I can run fast, I can jump high, and I have agility. Usually, you're not going to have both. Because if you're a sprinter, it's a rare day that you're going to see a sprinter that's going to bust out into a split. I'm not saying that's not possible because there's exceptions to the rules, but highly unlikely. Because when you're a sprinter, you're running so fast forward, right? And the muscles, the quads and the hamstrings are contracting at such powerful forces that they really have to be really tight and strong. Same thing with the inner thighs and all of that. So it's not like if somebody who can just walk in the room and just fall down into a split, those muscles are looser and more stretched out, which means they're not going to be able to contract do those hard, tough contractions at the rate that is necessary to run really fast or to be really explosive. So there's this balance. But the more flexibility you have with a joint or in a muscle, the less strength you have in that joint or that muscle. That's why, generally speaking, men are stronger than women and men are less flexible than women, okay? They have more strength, less flexibility. Okay? So if you have more flexibility at the hips, you're going to have less strength at the hips. Okay? So I've never been, and I've always been an athlete. You know, I played basketball. I was a softball pitcher. I ran track. I fenced a little bit. And then I also danced. So I'm just not, I can have a good vertical jump. So to me, you know, and then when you do African dances, dances of the African diaspora, dances from the Americas, indigenous dances from anywhere, flexibility is not a thing like that, you know? I mean, when I say flexibility, I'm talking about extreme flexibility. Look, some people are like contortionists. You want to have a healthy range of flexibility, but a healthy range of flexibility is not what people think. A lot of people think that means you could just drop down to a split, put your leg behind your head. No, that's more like extreme flexibility, right? So yeah, there needs to be a fine balance between being pushed, you know, because sometimes, you know, in our own mind, we can stop ourselves from going harder, and then also knowing when to chill and when you need to rest. And people who have a background in sports, who played sports growing up or were athletes, a lot of times have this mindset, well, they'll push through anything. They could be injured, because when you're an athlete, especially a high-level athlete, they try to make you push through anything, any little injury or whatever. So I know for me, like, you know, and there are times when you take a break and when you come back, you notice you're stronger because you give the muscles time to rest and rebuild. The muscles rebuild stronger. But if you don't give it that enough time to recover, you know, you end up with muscle injuries. Like when you work out hard, you injure the muscle, and then you eat the right foods and rest, that muscle builds back stronger than it was, right? And so when you don't give that rest period long enough, that can start to make you, which is overtraining, that can decrease your performance, okay? Because you're doing too much. Your muscles aren't having time to recover. But also, if you have too long of a rest period, the same thing can happen. Your muscles have gotten weaker because you haven't done anything for such a long time period, right? So overtraining and undertraining have similar symptoms, decrease in performance, okay? But, and it increase in possibility of being injured. If you're not training enough, your chances of being injured is increased. But if you're training too much, your chances of being injured are increased. So just having a really good understanding with balancing the rest, knowing when to take a break and when not to. And I know that, you know, it can even be frustrating. So I know that, like, if I'm feeling really sick, if I have a headache, that's one time that I will not do anything strenuous. So if I have a bad headache, I'm going to chill. You know, when people have colds, I never get a cold. I can't remember the last time I've had a cold. I might have been like 21. I don't know. I don't get colds. But if someone has a cold and you have a head cold and you're like really congested in your head, I would say this is a time to chill. It's not good to work out when you have a lot of head congestion. So you said people always assume that you're strong from working out all day. And you're like, no, I'm always worn out. Well, you shouldn't be working out all day. What are you doing working out all day? Are you at work? I know you go to the gym. Like, if you're actually doing physical labor all day, that is going to definitely wear you out. But you also can help that with getting a good night's sleep. So if you do have a job that's very physical, or you have a life that's very physical all day, then you need to make sure you get good sleep. And you need to make sure you eat good food, okay? Good food that has good quality protein, lots of potassium, because your muscles need potassium. I mean, your muscles need protein to rebuild. High quality protein, not protein from peas and soybeans, okay? Also, carbohydrates, okay? Because your muscles utilize carbohydrates as fuel when you do anything, whether you are doing an endurance sport or a power sport. So you want to, like, while you're doing that activity, sip on coconut water, sip on watermelon juice. If you don't have that, then any other fresh squeezed juice diluted with water. But coconut water and watermelon juice are excellent for hydration. Broth is as well. But sipping on that, you know, and then after that, you know, just especially if you have like a long day of physical activity, keep consuming high potassium foods, because the potassium helps to decrease muscle soreness. And also, the carbohydrates help to refuel your muscle glycogen, which is the glucose that's stored in your muscles. And if you have to go hard every day, that's really, really important. How long is burning muscles good until you should stop? I don't understand that question. But, you know, how long somebody trains depends on the level of fitness and what they're training for, you know. I've known people that say they spend hours in the gym. I don't think anybody needs to spend hours in the gym. But that person might be, I've known people who maybe they go to the weight room, then they go boxing, then they go swimming. So if you want to do all that in one day and spend 3 hours in the gym, that's fine. But I don't spend that much time in the gym. But again, you might have an athlete who is training for something. So like if you have a swimmer who's in a high level and she has to go to swim practice every day for a couple hours, and she got to go to the weight room every day for an hour to 2 hours or whatever, then it is what it is. She's training for 4 hours a day. So it just depends. And me working in the fitness industry, I don't really teach classes anymore, but like, and I've been a trainer since like 2003 or 2, right? But I started teaching group fitness when I was like in college, like around 2001. And I quickly, when I got into group fitness, was like, oh no, I don't like group fitness. I like one-on-one training because people need one-on-one attention because a lot of people are a hot mess. And having this one-size-fits-all for everybody in this generic aerobics class, not my thing. And I don't even like the way you teach it. But when you teach aerobics, you have to physically do stuff. When you're training people one-on-one, you usually show them stuff and then you observe them, right? So I'm not exerting myself the same. But about 5 years ago, I was teaching, but then I started teaching pole dance. Maybe about 8 years ago, I became a pole instructor. And from like 2014 to like 2018, I was teaching a lot of classes. And so I would be in the pole for several hours out the week. Some days I might teach 2 classes, that's 90 minutes, that's 3 hours. Then I might have pole parties or, you know, so for day after day after day, I'd be spending so much time in the pole. And what happens is, you know, you get stronger and stronger. You build up, then my pole endurance built up. And so maybe like when I first started, and being on the pole for an hour would make me, I'd be done for the next 4 days, right? But then the more you do it, the more you can take, the more you need in order for it to make you like that, right? And that's called progressive overload, all right? So how long somebody should be doing something and how much depends on that individual, where they are in their fitness journey and what their goals are. But it's really important though to know that it's not good. Like if you have certain injuries or you're sick, you know, it's much better to get better than to push yourself with a strenuous workout. Also, when people are too tired, right? Because with strength training or dangerous activities, like doing like gymnastics moves, right? I don't know. There's something that there's a story I kind of want to tell, but I'm like, I don't know if it's a good story. I don't want to, you know, trigger anybody. I don't know. I'm having this moment. I'm like, okay, so I know somebody who was taking a adult acrobatic class, right? And she was tired. She had already had a pole class prior, and she was tired, and she went to this class, and she decided to do this move one more time. And the last time she did the move, she landed bad on her neck and back, and ended up getting paralyzed from the neck down, right? That breaks my heart that you know happened. She was a friend of mine, and it's the reason why you don't want to push yourself, particularly with dangerous things. When you are fatigued, you want to have all your strength. Like even when I'm on the pole, sometimes there's certain days where I can't go upside down. No matter what it looks like I'm doing on the pole, the shit is hard, and I'm not even like that strong compared to a lot of people, and I don't train as much as I used to, but it's hard. And if you don't do it for a while, it gets so much harder, and it's painful, a lot of it. So there are days I'm like, I just don't have the strength. I just can't do it, you know. And so, but then another day I might have gotten good rest and sleep, and I'm feeling strong, and I'm like, okay, I can do it. You have to be able to tune into yourself and know that. And in the weight room too, when you're lifting weights, like when you see people, you want to control the weight. So when you see people, and I especially see men doing this, right? Like if I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm doing bicep curls, right? Whenever you're doing any exercise, you only want the muscle that you're working to be contracting and doing. That muscle should be that muscle should be doing all the work. So if I'm working my biceps, if I'm doing bicep curls, right, and I have dumbbells in my hands, I have my arms next to my body, I want to keep a slight bend in my elbow. I don't want to lock it out, right? I want to keep a slight little angle. And I want to come up, squeeze my biceps, and slowly let my arms come down, right? And I'm coming back down as straight as I can get it, leaving that slight bend, and then up, and I exhale and squeeze my biceps. I inhale on the way down, keeping control, and then I hold my breath when I pull up. Exhale. What I don't want to do, I'm sitting down right now, but when you see, especially men in the gym, who they're like swinging the weight. You shouldn't have any momentum or swinging. If you can't stand and just like this, with control, see, nothing is moving. There shouldn't be a hip thrust. There shouldn't be any of that. Also, the other thing that it shouldn't be is sometimes you see, again, men a lot of times, doing things in a short range of motion. So like you're just right here. You don't want to do that either. It's going to create severe muscle imbalances. You're going to do the full range of motion with control, always focusing on your breathing, always exhaling on top or exhaling when the muscle squeezes. When the muscle contracts, which is always on top most of the time, you exhale. On the way down, you inhale when you squeeze your ab. This keeps your body stable. When you get to the bottom, you hold your breath and hold it as you lift again. Exhale on top. Okay, so that's the correct. But like when people start to get, and bicep curls aren't the most dangerous exercise. But if somebody is doing squats and they're fatigued, they're too tired, you can end up hurting yourself. You go down low, you can't get back up, unless you have somebody spotting you. Most people don't. So with weightlifting exercises and stuff, like you don't want to get injured weightlifting, okay? Weightlifting is not a contact sport. So that only happens if you're doing something with bad technique or you're not strong enough to lift something, which are kind of linked hand in hand, okay? So technique is everything, right? We want to prevent injuries. Again, I'm a strength and conditioning specialist. Our job is to increase performance and decrease injury. That's my specialty. My specialty is not to make you look like what you want to look like. My specialty is not how do you, just simply aesthetic purposes. I understand those things. But when I first became a trainer, it was very hard for me when people would come to me with these looks. I want to look like this. I want to look like that. People showing you a picture, which is so annoying. Because I'm like, you're not going to look like this or that. You're going to look like you. You. The best version of you. That's why I understand why surgery is so big now. Because as a trainer, it would be so annoying to me how people always want to come show me a picture of somebody that they want to look like. That's the type of shit you take to a doctor. And that's why the doctors are making so much money. Because people want to show a picture and say, but they want to order a body. That's what I call it. Instead of being the best version of themselves. Sometimes you could want to look like that. You might not never look like that. And a lot of people train with people because they want to look like them. Like a dude might see another dude who he's all cut up and you want to look like that. So you're like, I'm going to train with him so I can get cut up too. That don't mean you're going to get his body. Or somebody can train me because they like how I look. And it's not really simply about that. You know what I'm saying? And you want to look like the best version of you. Okay, so my specialty is performance. Increasing performance, decreasing injury. So even if I'm working with a regular person, which most of my clients are regular people, it could be an elderly person. It could be a teenager. It could be whatever in between. It's about increasing performance and decreasing injury. Okay, everybody has certain stresses to their body. Some people have certain issues. Some people got scoliosis. Some people got a bad hip. Some people got bad knees. Some people injured their shoulder. Okay, people have all kinds of different things going on. And so we're only as strong as our weakest link. So my thing is to look at those things, strengthen those things, help balance those things. You have some people who work their chest all the time, never work their back. That's not good. That's asking for overuse injuries and imbalances. You know, people working their abs, not their lower back. A lot of people do that. A lot of people neglect the back. They just focus on the front, the biceps, the chest, abs. You're not getting your upper back, your lower back, your triceps. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to work opposing muscle groups. It has to be balanced. You know? So, I think I might have gotten to my point about knowing when to rest. I'm going to do, it's so hard for me to film these videos, you have no idea. But when I think about getting more in depth about these subjects, that's what I will be doing on my Patreon page. And some of you have heard me talk about this Patreon page, and I haven't started it yet, but I'm a work in progress. It's just so much going on. I have, 3 businesses I've been working on, haven't been talking about, but just have a lot of stuff going on. But I'm definitely going to get to that, because I can do more in-depth videos where I can explain to people, giving people some different scenarios of rest to work ratios, right? So to really have some idea, a better idea what your work to rest ratio should look like. But I think that I have said enough. Just make sure, you eat right, you hydrate yourself. I have videos on hydration science because a lot of people don't understand hydration. I have videos on protein shakes because I don't recommend that you use protein powders. Definitely follow, the videos that I have on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81, and look at what I post on my IG page, because I do try to educate people a lot about what are the so-called healthy foods, because it's not salad. Okay, it's not salad and green juice. You need some good animal foods. You need some good old eggs. Some red meat. The people think red meat is bad. No, like when you get it from the farm, you always want to get your food from the farm. I'm not talking about food from the commercial food industry. You can't get good quality food in this country. I get tired of people saying you can't find good quality food in America. That is not true. This is my other specialty. It's food systems. International food systems is something that I study, right? So outside of being a strength and conditioning coach, and I am a sports nutritionist, but I'm a sports nutritionist with a holistic perspective. So I'm not into the Gatorade and the protein bars and the protein shakes. I believe in getting it from food. And when it comes to food, I'm very much into ancestral, traditional foods that have shown to work over generations. And, not taking a bunch of supplements. And so if you watch the sum total of my YouTube videos, you'll see I have a lot of videos where I speak about those things. And I won't get too in depth into that. But I will say you need good quality foods to help support in training, to help your body build back, right? You need the proper rest, sleep, and the proper work to rest ratio. And you have to know yourself as to when you can be pushed and when you need to stop. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't want to push too hard and get seriously injured from overuse injuries. All right? So I'm going to leave that there. If you like the video, please like it. Please share it. If you're on IG, please follow me on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please follow me on IG. And have a good day, people. Bye-bye.